So you are not a provider, you're a regular business, and you heard the word SPLA. Via SPLA, Microsoft licenses providers to provide you services. And I must give you a massive warning here. They can't just give you licenses. You can't buy SPLA licenses and use them in your own data center unless a provider manages those services for you. But you may have been using SPLA licenses already without even thinking about it. When you rent something from a provider. Amazon AWS is the biggest SPLA provider. And if you rent virtual machines from them, you're already using SPLA, you just don't know about it. Why? Because the provider is licensed to provide you services with licenses included. So when you choose a Microsoft licensing program through SPLA, it means that you are choosing to buy services from a provider with licenses included without you having to deal with those licenses directly. And here's the million-dollar question, is that a good idea? Is it better than using your traditional enterprise agreement licenses? Firstly, SPLA is one of the options available to you when you migrate to the cloud. As I already said, if you migrate to a large provider, you may be already getting SPLA licenses without even thinking about it. SPLA also simplifies license management. You don't have to deal with licenses because the provider is licensed to provide those licenses together with the services they provided to you.
What the hell are you talking about?
There are no licenses in the traditional sense. You consume SPLA as a cost of the service. And that leads me to the point number 3. SPLA licenses are always an OPEX because it's a service fee. It's not a capital expenditure, unless you do some CFO magic, which is outside of the scope of this channel. The main advantage of SPLA, which again, you can only get when you're hosting your services with a provider or they give you licenses together with their services to use on premises. The main benefit of that is commercial flexibility. At the moment, SPLA is the only truly flexible Microsoft licensing program that allows you to reduce or increase your costs on a monthly basis. Of course, there are Microsoft CSP subscriptions, monthly subscriptions, but you need to remember that CSP monthly is only for Office products. So SPLA is the only program through which you can get server licenses on a pay monthly, pay-as-you-go basis. You only pay for what you consume during a calendar month. And not only that, you can switch licensing models on a monthly basis depending on your usage model, finding the most appropriate, the most cost-efficient model. You have, however, communicated to your service provider so they also report the correct license on their side. For example, you use SQL Server. You deploy SQL Server, and in the first month, there's only a handful of users that require access to that server. So you count those users, and you only pay for user subscription licenses in a certain calendar month. And then the number of users grows. And it may be that in that calendar month, when your user base has grown, it will be cheaper for you to pay per core for the same server, and you can switch it on a monthly basis. The other benefit is security. Since through SPLA you always have access to the most recent versions of Microsoft software, then your IT security is less of an issue. You don't have to buy any upgrade licenses. You just inform your service provider that you want to upgrade the server to a more recent version. And speaking about upgrades, one thing that is not obvious, not security related, but your client access licenses also don't have to be upgraded or purchased anyhow else, because again, through SPLA, you get access to the most recent client access license, or as we call it in SPLA, subscriber access license. And if getting support on a timely basis is critical for you, then please remember that when you rent services from a service provider, they're contractually obliged to provide you first level of support. Try and get quick support from Microsoft without paying for Premier or unified support. That will be difficult, if not impossible. And since Microsoft support costs are rising incredibly, if you want to understand more about the structure of pricing of Microsoft Unified Support, please click here and watch this video, and I'll see you soon.